from the Delta to the DMZ.
It's 0600. What's the O stand for?
Oh, my God.
It's Mr. Leo.
You know, this whole camouflage thing for me doesn't work very well. Why is that? Well, because you go in the jungle, I can't see you. If you're going to fight, clash.
That is not what we program here.
Surprise! Surprise! Surprise!
You are not funny.
You're not going to laugh.
And from Mesa, Arizona, it's DrinkinAZ with George and Adam Wallace. How you doing, Adam?
Real
good. Good. And can you turn me up there a little bit? Awesome. And I'm doing all right. I mean, it was kind of bittersweet, you know, the intro there with Robin Williams. I don't know about you. I mean, we were talking about our age difference and everything, but that was kind of a gut punch to me the other day.
Right. Yeah, I remember getting the KTR update. I get those updates on my phone. And there you go. Now you can hear me.
Okay.
So, like I said, I was getting those updates on the phone, and all of a sudden I got it. I'm like, no way. You know, it kind of just caught me off guard. I didn't really know. I didn't even really. I watched all the footage, at least for a good hour on like CNN or whatever, because they, of course, you know, anytime something like that happens, they're like, okay, this is going to be news for the next 24 hours. So I checked them out for a little bit, and you know, then it started to hit me that, man, we lost someone really influential in that industry.
Yeah, I think,
and one of the good people too. I think, you know, a lot of times you feel like there's some good people. There's some people that are talented, but maybe not. They don't come off as good-hearted.
Yeah.
Always. And I think Robin Williams, you know, as far as people were saying, you heard a lot of people talking about him. All had good memories of him. And
yeah, he was this short, little, stocky, big, big four-armed, hairy kind of guy next door. But he was gifted with the ability to make people laugh and stuff like none other. I think when you look at his body of work, when you look at the, you know, everything. I mean, when he passed away, first thing I thought of was my oldest daughter, and I thought of how much she enjoyed Aladdin and Mrs. Doubtfire and everything, and I knew she was going to be upset, and I'm sure, of course, you know, she was on Facebook saying how upset she was, and I talked to another gentleman who told me he'd cried a couple times today over this.
Yeah,
and
hasn't quite hit me like that yet.
Really really just the mental picture of somebody who brought so much joy, being at a place in his life where he was in such despair that he took his own life, is such a contrast, you know?
Yeah, it really makes you kind of feel bad for him in a way that, you know, even when you were hearing, you know, in real time when he was alive that he was needing to go to rehab, for some reason it doesn't hit you as much.
He still made light of it, like
right. He made a joke of it.
Oh, he's a human being, and
which
I
think is sometimes, you know, unfortunately harmful to the issues that he was having, because I think that in the public sphere, nobody's really comfortable talking about mental illness.
You think that people maybe...
I don't think people take it seriously. You know, I don't think people really
assume that he had it under control because he was able to laugh about it?
Right, able to laugh at it. I think it makes it tough for people to even self-identify, and therefore it sort of perpetuates the self-medication of a mental illness rather than acknowledging it and knowing that you can get help and hopefully get through those moments where things are so tough. You know, because
the poor guy. Yeah, no, I'm sorry to cut you off.
No, that's all right. So
the poor guy, I mean, I just hope he's at peace now. You know?
Sure.
And a cheers to Robin Williams.
Yeah, cheers.
Yeah, it sucks. So here we are at Sundevil Liquor on a Tuesday, kind of early here.
Yeah.
Still waiting for people to roll in.
Yeah, waiting for it to get hopping. A couple people came in for some wine.
Yeah, we had a grumpy guy come down a little while ago. That happens.
Yeah.
And we had some people in for wine and had a kind of an impromptu visitor that I guess we'll talk about in the next segment.
Yeah.
So where the hell's Duncan?
Well, Duncan's in Southern California, right? Oceanside?
Yeah, something like that. He was just
fishing.
Talking to him earlier. He was on his way to downtown to hit the beer spots.
Yeah, I'm proud of him for doing that.
And he goes, you know, they got this place down here called Stone Canyon, and I want to go to this Stone Canyon and drink some beers. They got a good deal on the 4-ounce pours. And I'm like, yeah, it's Stone, buddy. It's not Stone Canyon.
Right.
Make sure you try some of the Stone. And Ballast Point and Green Flash and
Yeah,
Lagunitas.
they've got a lot of great breweries down there.
Absolutely.
Hopefully one day, Phoenix will be able to, or Arizona, I guess, in general, will be able to compete. I think we're on our way, but, I think if you talk to a lot of the experts, we're a little ways off.
Right. We're not.
Which I agree.
We're not there yet.
We're just young. We're little babies.
Like Rob Fulmer says, we could be
Just
the next
crawling.
Portland, but it's going to be a while.
Yeah. Yeah.
One of the big breweries that, for whatever reason has gotten a lot of good early press before opening has been Mother Bunch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
They've gotten some good write-ups.
Is she going to be the first woman brewer in Arizona? Or is there someone else that takes that medal? Because I've been kind of saying that. I kind of feel that way, but I don't know if I'm actually accurate.
I think she might be the first woman-owned brewery.
Mm-hmm.
As far as women brewers go, over at Four Peaks, I can't think of her first name right now, but Doc over at BJ.
Okay.
BJ's, Doc Osborne. Mrs. Osborne. I'm sorry,
Okay,
Mrs. Osborne. I can't remember your first name. She is a brewer over at Four Peaks.
I'd love to meet her. I think that's great. Not that it just.
We should have the two on. That'd be
I
a great,
love seeing
great show.
that women will participate in this and they're going to make their way in it too. I'm all about equality and seeing that there's really no reason why a woman can't brew beer just because it's primarily a man's.
There's no
world.
reason why a woman can't brew a beer, make me a sandwich, and wash the dishes.
Now you're going to
when
get the
we're
hate
done.
mail. Now the hate mail comes.
How are we on time?
We're actually going to run into our first break right now. So
All right.
I think we'll wrap it up and then we'll talk about who we met and some of the breweries coming up in Mesa, right?
Yep, sounds like a good deal. All right, so you're listening to Drinkin' AZ. We'll be right back.
This is Adam with DrinkinAZ. I want to tell you guys about Sundevil Liquors. This is a massive store that can serve all your beverage needs. They feature wine tasting every Thursday from their swanky cellar, beer tastings on Friday nights featuring 8 different beers on tap and a specialty on cask. You can pick out any bottle to mix and match, choose from over 350 kegs, 1,000 specialty beers, and over 1,500 imported or domestic wines. Check them out at 235 North Country Club Drive, Mesa, Arizona.
Back here at Sundevil Liquor. It's the Drinkin' AZ show with George and Adam. Duncan's on vacation. Big shout out to Duncan because I know that this will air before he gets back. And Duncan, not only does he do the show, but he's one of the biggest listeners of the show there is. He probably listens to it as much as anybody. So he'll be checking us out. So Duncan, make sure don't drink anything out of a green bottle. And, I don't know, twist tops, stay away from those, buddy. And, if it's made in San Diego, that'd be a good thing to do.
Yep, you're on the right track.
Yes.
If you could hear us right now.
He'll hear us.
We're not live, by the way, which is where we're trying to go with the show, but facing a couple technical issues down in the cellar.
We're recording live.
Right, but, people can't. If he wanted to hear us right now, he couldn't.
Right. And the product that you're listening to right now, as a listener, is pretty raw compared to where we were before, right?
Yeah, I'd say so.
Go ahead and explain that to our listeners.
Before what we were doing is recording everything live, and then obviously if we had some miscues and things that were going on that we didn't necessarily think fit the show, I would go back in and edit them out, add in our sponsorships. Make it look like a finished product. Add an intro with the music and everything, so that it sounded, like one, finished product, which I think we'll still have. But you think you're going to notice a little bit more of, some slight technical issues that might pop up. The audio might not always, coincide with the video.
And we don't have the luxury anymore of if the show starts going down a bad road, we would just look at the camera and say 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Right, and we could do that, but that's not going to be very fun. So, you're going to probably hear us, add some stuff in there that sometimes we may not want to say, but, we'll try to do our best to do some live edits, if you will.
And this is a little different, for our listeners out there, and I hope that you're finding this, interesting enough to stay with here. But we don't even have a guest tonight. It's just Adam and I kind of manning the ship on our own.
Yep.
What are you drinking tonight, Adam?
I am having some Lost Highway black IPA.
Staying loyal to Mother Road.
I really do like it. After I had, I actually went up to one of the beer ambassadors, Dan Schneer, a friend of the show's. He was running a, hold on. Had to just get that in. An event where they used one of those, and I first saw it, a Randall machine, I think they call it, right? A Randalizer, which I think was developed by the owner of Dogfish Head. That's what I heard from
somebody
Dan.
in
Or somebody in his employment.
Probably some dude named Randall, right?
Maybe, yeah. Anyway, so I saw how that worked. They added chocolate, I think crunched up chocolate bar. I think they added like a Godiva chocolate bar with cocoa nibs in it. And coffee, whole coffee beans. Ran that through it, so it kind of picked up that flavor. And then it runs into like a secondary where the head can kind of settle. And they'll redistribute through a tap, And
how did that taste?
Tasted great. Not really much different than the finished product that Mother Road puts out in the first place, but gives it a real nice added flavor. You can just slightly taste that coffee flavor. I think the coffee was more pronounced than the chocolate.
Did you say you did that down in Tucson? You were on a trip to Tucson?
No, well, we went to Tucson to grab some barrels, actually. That's probably some good news for Mother Road fans that Mother Road was able to line up some barrels from old spent barrels from the wineries down south near Tucson from Sonoyta. I can't recall the names of. I'm not even going to try. I can't recall the names of the wineries. But
did you go to the wineries yourself?
Yeah, that's where we picked up the barrels. Yeah, we went down there with the trailer. We picked up, I think, 6 barrels.
Cool.
So those are going straight back up to Flagstaff, and Urs is going to do some neat stuff with those. I don't know exactly what. Dan didn't really divulge that. I don't know if Dan really even knew. But I know Urs has some plans on putting some stuff in. They have some red wine barrels and some white wine barrels. So
cool.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good yawn for live.
Good
yeah,
yawn.
There we go.
Hey, good morning,
we're
Arizona.
alive. Yeah, good morning.
All right. So we had a tap takeover here. Barry Tingliff from Oak Creek Brewing, who's been on our show before. Remember the Spring Fest?
He's an Ash member. Yeah, longtime Ash member. One of the founding fathers.
Yes, sir. So big shout out to Barry, and he came down here to Sundevil and did a tap takeover the other day, and we still have those beers on tap today. We got the Snake Charmer IPA. Have you had that yet?
I have not, but I did try the brown Oak Creek Brown on steroids.
Nut Brown on
the
steroids.
Nut Brown on steroids. Yeah, that was pretty cool.
And we have the what you need to do is try the black IPA that they have on tap here from Oak Creek. See how it compares to Mother Road for you.
You have 2 black IPAs on tap.
Yeah, I have 2 black IPAs.
I didn't know that.
They have the Trader Joe's, and it's Trader Traitor.
Okay,
Joe's.
Traitor. Yeah,
Traitor. Because their assistant brewer Joe brewed one batch of this black IPA and then got offered a job down the road.
Oh, okay.
And so they said, okay, fine, we'll call it Trader Joe's.
Shady.
It's the last deal he ever, the last batch he brewed here.
Right.
Then they also have Oak Creek Brewing has a red lime saison, which is interesting because there's. I hope I get this story right. I believe there's
red
only
wine or red lime.
Lime, Lime.
Okay.
So if I understand the story correctly, there's only 3 of these trees in existence, and one of them is down at the U of A. I hate to say
it's
U
like
of
a
A.
red-colored lime.
Yes.
Oh wow.
It's a cross between a kumquat and a tangelo, I believe.
Huh.
And there's only one fruit-bearing tree in Arizona, and Oak Creek got all the fruit off of it and made this batch of this
Sweet.
saison. In fact, I'll let you taste some real quick.
You have it here.
Keep everybody
I want to
entertained while I grab you some. Hang on one sec.
Sure. So George is reaching for a glass now, doing the bartender thing, pouring a nice little sample for me. A little too much head there. He's getting rid of that. George has some work to do on his bartending skills. It's all right. I'll take that from you. Okay. Smell that out. Ooh. Well, and I'm a fan of Belgian style beers, so you know, a saison's right up my alley. It smells great. That yeast, I just can't get enough of that saison yeast, Belgian yeast for those.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't like them.
I don't know
I don't know why I have
I'm crazy about it.
My palate just loves them.
It's kind of peppery.
Yeah.
But saison is really a catch-all type of category, really, when you think about it. So what do you think?
I like it. I mean, I would definitely order another one of those.
Yeah.
What's the ABV on that?
I'm not really sure. I think it's 7, something like that.
Yeah, I mean,
I need to get my ABVs up on the wall here for sure. But I think it's a 7 point something.
Okay.
And then the Nut Brown on steroids. I mean, that beer is pretty remarkable in the fact that you took a beer that was, you know, probably a 5% or 6% beer, and you took it up to 9.5, but you really didn't mess with the character of the beer hardly at all.
Right.
It still tastes, you know, for the most part like the Nut Brown from Oak Creek, but it's just got more backbone to it.
Right.
So kudos to them on that. They did a good job.
Yeah, I like it.
Right.
How was the saison again? Who did this? Oak Creek.
Oak Creek. Yeah.
Yeah,
So all the
red
ones that
lime
I've been,
saison.
Yeah, all the ones that I've been talking about here were the Oak Creek. Now another up and coming.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's an Arizona beer, of course, Arizona brewery. But another up and coming brewery to look at is Northwest Brewing, out of Pacific, Washington.
Mm-hmm.
King James came down here a few weeks ago, and we had their Crazy Bitch. We had the Hoppy Bitch, the Crazy Bitch, their Three Skulls, Blood Wit. So a blood orange wit beer, and we had a mango hefeweizen, and we still have the double oatmeal bourbon stout.
Yeah, and I guess a customer had that, said it was pretty good. I'm usually a fan of anything that's been bourbon barrel aged or anything. I mean, I just like that flavor too.
Very boozy on the front end. But what James was saying about this brewery is that I guess Pacific, Washington is a little prison town of about 800 people.
This is the Crazy Bitch double IPA? Same brewery?
Same brewery, yeah.
Okay.
And town of about 800 people, but owned by some Anheuser-Busch former executives who really know what they're doing in some aspects of most aspects of brewing, and now they're getting to brew really good beer.
Okay.
Their tap handles and their naming and everything is really good. They're really catchy. The Hoppy Bitch and Crazy Bitch, you know, the women were having fun with that name and calling each other crazy Hoppy Bitches here in the bar. And it was good times. So it's really good beer, really solid. I have to say solid beer. Like not one of them is a stinker by any means. So definitely a brewery to look for.
Yeah.
And a little plug for Young's Market and James Swan there, who's promoting that beer. Northwest Brewing.
I'll definitely look out for it. I don't think I really tried anything from them yet. So
yeah, well, before you leave, try a couple of these.
Mm-hmm.
All right, how are we doing on time now?
I'd be happy to do that. We can certainly head out for another break here, and then we'll actually talk about
our visitor.
All
right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Give me 1 second here. Let me pull that up.
Phoenix Brewing Supply is an online retailer based in the Phoenix metro area. This online shop is geared up to give the homebrewer competitive prices on a wide selection of all of your homebrewing needs. Phoenix Brewing Supply provides quick access to a variety of hops, yeast, additives, and adjuncts, spital fermenters, 5-star chemicals, chillers, draft equipment, plumbing, and hardware are all products you can find at the click of a button. When you can get most orders shipped within one business day, why go anywhere else? Log on to phoenixbrewingsupply.com today and receive 10% off of your first order when you register online. Phoenix Brewing Supply. What are you brewing today?
And we're back with DrinkinAZ from Sundevil Liquors down here in the Cellar. All right. Are you still with me, Adam?
I'm still with you.
All right.
Yep.
So our visitor we had earlier today, it was interesting how that whole thing unfolded, really, if you think going back a few weeks, huh?
Yeah. We've been waiting to, I think, talk at some point with someone who represented Desert Eagle. And, we just happened to do that kind of off the cuff before we started our show.
Yeah, because a few weeks ago, Adam and I went and had a little impromptu beers.
Yeah.
I guess you'd call it. That's all it was we went out and had some beers at Desert Eagle.
I was out and about. I think I started my day off with Santan.
That's when you were having your little vacation
my little
day.
vacation day. Yeah, my little local brewery vacation day. I checked out Santan for the first time. I might have had Santan beers before, but never at their restaurant. So I tried some of their food, did a flight of their beers, tried out a couple of their seasonals. I think they have a farmhouse that was pretty decent to me anyway. And then headed up to BRI. To see how they were progressing, but unfortunately no one was there that day. Probably one of the one days that they weren't there. And then proceeded to Desert Eagle, because now, Desert Eagle and then soon to be Beer Research Institute will be the two microbreweries.
Well, Mesa's a small town, right? There's only
it's very
600,000 people.
Very small. Everybody knows your name kind of place. Yeah. Yep.
Yep, the sheriff. You got the deputy's got one bullet in his gun. And no, I mean, for those of you who don't know, Mesa is larger than Buffalo, Memphis.
It's pretty big.
Cincinnati. There's a lot I could go through. I think Mesa's larger than New Orleans.
I believe you.
Yeah, Mesa's huge. And right now they've got one functioning microbrewery, and that's the place that we went to drink at a few weeks ago. And how do we say our experience was?
Well, I think most of the beers I tried, which I did one of their their flights. Cool presentation. They had some pretty cool flight holders. So presentation wise, nice little bar. Definitely have one. I noticed they have a loyal following. They definitely have people that are going in there, enjoying their beers, and for whatever, one reason or another, they all have their reason for what favorite beer they had. I had everybody in there. When I told them, I'm new here, they were all eager to say, oh, you got to try this, you got to do this, this is what I like. And I was like, okay, bring it on. Let me try it out. So, I did their flight, and for the most part, I found most of their beers to be drinkable.
Adequate.
Yeah.
Not to put words
nothing.
in your mouth.
Yeah, nothing that I was like, man, this is the best thing I've ever had. And maybe I was there on an off day. Maybe sometimes they have a little fluctuation, which I think is pretty normal in a microbrewery situation. I think they try not to have a whole lot of fluctuation in their quality, but I think sometimes it's expected that you might have slight variations on batches. Perhaps that's just my uneducated guess. I know that if I were opening up a microbrewery, there might be a couple occasions that happens. So I think that's really what I chalk the experience up to, is that on some of the styles they had, definitely didn't. Again, I'm not a professional, but didn't quite to be what I expected of the style from others that I've had, but nonetheless drinkable. I think the one thing that I came out of there was that. There was one that maybe the bartender just wasn't as knowledgeable of how the style should be, and maybe should have omitted.
Possibly a mishandled beer.
Right. They might have just omitted that sample, knowing that it didn't pour right, or that it wasn't exactly what the brewery was intending. And that's pretty much it. So
yeah. And
what did you think?
I think I remember saying at the time that number one, I want to go on the record as saying that I think that Desert Eagle's beer, or Desert Eagle as a brewery, is very important to the craft beer scene in Arizona, and because it's the only microbrewery in Mesa.
Right.
I mean, you can't have a city that large and have one microbrewery and have that not be an important place.
It's important for that place to do well. It's not necessarily just an important place, but I think what you're saying is that it's definitely beneficial for the city to see that place succeeds.
Absolutely.
It would be going backwards if for some reason that they didn't end up succeeding and continuing on.
And Jeff did say in our little impromptu meeting that he's very happy with the city the way he's been treated.
The city's been
Yeah.
helping them every bit of the way, giving them as much help to make it an easy process to become a microbrewery, because I'm sure there's a lot of stuff that, especially for first-time people opening up microbreweries, there's a lot of mystery there. I know I wouldn't have every bit of knowledge, and even if I did, probably.
And I think he even said, I think he might have used the term bent over backwards for them.
Right, that's how, and so if they feel that way, then that's, that Mesa's putting in the effort to make sure that it's a successful
And we've talked
business.
to other towns. I know Duncan and I have been out talking to other breweries that are open now, that were in the process of opening up and so forth, and they were getting jerked around by the cities they were in.
Mm-hmm.
So for those people who are listening, Mesa is accommodating.
Yeah.
At least they're open to the idea. And then also remember 8-Bit Brewing?
Yeah, they said Avondale was excited, and that's what I was just going to say. I think that every city here in the Valley, or even just in Arizona, is pretty excited for this, because I think they realize that there's some momentum there to be gained, and in need of keeping that momentum going in order to see some growth in the economy.
Right.
And so the fact that they realize that's great. Westward Brewing is another one. Said great things about the city of Phoenix, wanting to get them up and going, give them a lot of help along the way, fast tracking a lot of stuff to making sure that they get all the proper licenses and permissions to start their brewery.
Are those the guys we had on? The tall guys?
Yep.
All three of them?
Yeah.
Pretty tall?
All their names are escaping me right now.
The shortest one was like 6 foot, and the other
Bill,
two could have been playing basketball.
I think there's, Bill and... Gosh, I'm sorry, guys.
Yeah,
but
those were
I can't
nice
remember.
guys. I remember.
Yeah, I'm really excited to get to see them get up and going and try their beers out, because they have a lot. They put a lot of work into it, and you can tell they're excited about it.
Are they close to you?
Closer, yeah. They're going to be in Phoenix, downtown Phoenix, basically. So I mean that's that's pretty close to me.
Yeah, that's right, downtown Phoenix. There's a lot of them now. There's a lot going on. I mean, we got Dubina getting ready to open up.
Dubina, Mother Bunch is getting closer.
And Beer Research Institute.
Beer Research Institute, obviously that's Mesa, but then 8-Bit Brewery, they're looking at starting up here in the next probably 2-3 months, right? From what they were saying.
Yeah, that would
at least that's the
that's
expectation.
A little optimistic.
I know sometimes, it seems to be.
But I think he's serious, and I think he's moving. He's got everything. All the indicators show that whether it be 2 months or 6 months, that he's going to be opening up.
Right.
Yeah. So let's finish kind of what we learned talking to Jeff.
Well, right. They came in here with some samples of a Czech Pilsner.
Right.
Right. And I think, correct me if I'm wrong, but Sundevil is going to consider carrying.
Looks like we're probably
the Czech Pilsner.
Yeah, we're probably going to be carrying that. And we tasted it. And
definitely drinkable.
I didn't think it was a perfect Pilsner, but I think it's drinkable, and it's
something to try. And again, I think if the beer community is tactful in their way of giving feedback about what they liked or didn't like about it, and they're open to seeing how they can make those changes, I think they could probably develop a really great Pilsner.
One thing that we learned about Desert Eagle is that they have DE is going to have DE filter for their Pilsners at least.
And explain that to the people who may not know.
The diatomaceous earth filter, which is the same. Diatomaceous earth is fossilized algae, and it comes in a powder form, and it's what people use for their swimming pools. And it's algae fossils. They're kind of like snowflakes, 3-dimensional snowflakes.
Okay.
And they have all these passageways where liquid can pass through, but they're so small that they catch things at a microbial level and don't allow them to go through.
I know it's used in gardening. I've heard of it used in a gardening.
Well, you thing
put it in the soil and it helps.
Keeps the pests down because it's so small that it gets in the joints and everything of the insects, and it's actually abrasive at a molecular level, and it cuts the insects in between their joints. It's like sandpaper in their joints. It kills them.
Okay.
That's not the most appetizing picture, but anyway, to make a long story longer, the Desert Eagle is going to be they have this diatomaceous earth filter, which they're using for their Czech Pilsner that we tried that was pretty good. And I think that's a step in the right direction as far as quality control and everything. And if they could, get maybe to where they were using DE on more of their beers, that might fix some of the issues that people have been having.
Yeah. It's got to help.
And again, I don't think that their beer is horrid.
It was definitely, 'cause you said it was clean, right? I mean, that's the biggest thing with a lager is making sure it's nice and clean.
Absolutely. And
they had that going.
And I hate to say this, Jared Dubina, but
looks like someone beat him.
Somebody's going to beat you to the punch.
Yeah. Yep. Unfortunately, but maybe quality-wise, Dubina can compete with them a little bit at the first level.
Yeah.
So,
but we're definitely in support of Dubina too. So.
We
want
some
everybody
good from Desert Eagle and Dubina as far as because they're as far as I know, they're the only two trying to do lagers right here in the valley.
In
right?
fairness, you've got Gordon Biersch.
Okay, and I've never really tried. I guess I've tried theirs maybe a couple years ago, but I don't go there often.
They're a chain.
And they don't distribute. Do they really distribute out to the liquor stores? Because I don't think they really.
I don't think so.
They might at some. I mean, I could be wrong.
Yeah, they may.
But that's probably why, because I don't necessarily go to their restaurant that often.
They do, because I actually, now that I think of it, I had a Gordon Biersch Martzen at Taste of Tops 2 weeks ago.
Okay.
So I take that back. They do distribute to the bars. And I don't think they do on a high level, but they do.
Right. Yeah,
and I
think
Taste of Tops
I have
is going to get whatever.
Some, yeah. So.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that kind of wraps up everything that we wanted to share.
Is there anything else we wanted to cover?
I don't think so. I mean, you got any updates on what the next show is going to be on, or no?
I know we're working on some things. I don't want to really give specifics right now because I don't want to speak out of turn. But we've got some big guests lined up for the future, and the Czar is involved in some of that, and then. Duncan will be back with his dunk tank, and Adam, as far as I understand, you'll be here. So
yeah,
looking forward to future shows for sure.
All right, cool.
All right, so any of you guys want to come down to Sundevil Liquors anytime, this is a great place to be. Sundevil Liquors and Taste of Tops. Taste of Tops was just mentioned as one of the top 33 beer bars in the country.
Yeah. And we'll be back there then on the next show, or what do you think?
Next show is from Taste of Tops.
Okay.
Yep.
Cool.
And look forward to talking to all you out there. And until then, for Duncan, who's on vacation, this is George Lindbloom
and Adam Wallace.
All right, and we'll catch you next time. Cheers.
All right.
You're not going to last long here.
Boy, do I have a surprise for you.
Good morning, Vietnam!
In 1965, Adrian Cronauer was sent to do the impossible.
I was sent here on very strict orders from a colonel.
What the hell's going on?